Siku Njema A. That's our new catchphrase for the week, and that's a tribute to SCTV from 40 years ago. Alright, so we have energy and cells, and these are the notes. You were not provided these notes in your booklet, so that's why I've either emailed them or posted them on my site. And that way you don't have to copy everything out, but you have to follow along as I go through it. These notes should be confusing to you, because we haven't gone on to talk about chemical equations and balancing and all those things. That starts in Science 9. So we're going to look at two main processes, photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Looking at how we can store energy and how we can produce it. Anything in red or green that's in bold, if it's not already underlined, it's a good idea to underline it, because that'll help you identify some of the key terms in this. On the first page, we're looking at storing energy. On the second page, we're going to look at how we produce energy. So let's just get this all opened up and we'll talk about it. So we have something called photosynthesis, and photo means light, synthesis means to combine. So in photosynthesis, plants are able to make their food. They're able to take materials and make food, in this case something called sugar. Photosynthesis happens in chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, and it's shaded green because it's a green pigment that can absorb light. So sunlight's very important to plants. Here's our chemical equation. We did chemistry in the first half of the year. So here we have our CO2, our H2O, C6H12O6, and O2. And next year you'd learn how to balance and what all those things mean. We touched on formulas, but not equations. So it's easier to think of these in words. So here's our CO2, carbon dioxide, H2O is our Wawa, C6H12O6 is our glucose. Glucose is the specific name for the sugar. And O2 is oxygen. So if you use the term sugar or glucose in this, that will be fine. Now I've shaded in the left side, and those are called the reactants. These are the materials needed to make the reaction happen. They have to be gathered. This is only happening in plants. So the carbon dioxide is coming from the air through the plant's leaves, and the water comes through the plant's roots that are in the soil. Now we look at the products. The products are glucose and oxygen. There's our sugar. That's what we want to make. We're making a fuel. And the byproduct is oxygen, and that's a very handy byproduct. We know we need oxygen. Now things in italics are getting a little bit fancy. In plants, the glucose is stored as starch, and it talks about things called leucoplasts and amyloplasts. So there's the oxygen that's the byproduct. So if you have a land plant, terrestrial plant, that oxygen directly enters the air. And we have lots of underwater plants, aquatic plants, and the oxygen enters the water. And of course that's very important for any animals living in the water, whether it's a lake or the ocean. So it says, why make glucose? Well, glucose allows us to store chemical energy in the bonds of this molecule. And that means those bonds can be unleashed to produce energy. And in other words, the glucose is going to be the fuel. So if you have a car, the fuel is gasoline. If you're an animal, if you're a plant, your fuel is going to be glucose. Now down here we give a little more discussion about the byproduct oxygen. It talks about phytoplankton that produce enormous amounts of oxygen in the ocean, and that oxygen first goes into the ocean, but some will also enter the atmosphere, which is very important for us since we need that oxygen for our next process called cellular respiration. So now we're going to go to page 2. And we're going to look at producing energy. Now producing energy, we are now talking about cellular respiration. So where plants, not animals, were doing photosynthesis, both plant cells and animal cells will carry out cellular respiration. And that means this occurs in the mitochondria, so plant and animal cells will both have mitochondria. So essentially what we're doing here is burning that glucose, or burning the sugar, to make energy. But this kind of burning We don't have to be at super high temperatures like for burning gasoline, because we have special chemicals called enzymes that reduce the temperature needed to burn the sugar. So we look at this chemical equation, we say, boy, it looks pretty familiar. We have those formulas from the previous page, but we kind of done a little swap. Same thing with the words. So this used to be on the right, and this used to be on the left, so we've swapped reactants and products. So that's why it says it's the reverse reaction. Or we like to think of it as two halves of a cycle. So now we look at the reactants, sugar and oxygen. So every cell in your body needs sugar and it needs oxygen in order to survive. So let's think about animals, including humans. We're going to get our sugar from the food we eat, and we're going to get the oxygen from the air we breathe. Those things are going to go to each cell. They're going to go to the mitochondria of each cell, and it's going to be burned, and we get our energy. Now we look at the products. They're shaded red here. So those are the products, and we know we inhale a very small amount of carbon dioxide, and we exhale about 4% carbon dioxide. That means of the air that we exhale 4% CO2. And on this side, we see O2. We inhale about 21% oxygen. The air is roughly 21%. And we exhale about 16% oxygen because we've used some of that oxygen converted to carbon dioxide and water in cellular respiration. Now we say, why do we care about all this? Well, energy is hugely important to plants and animals. We need it for all kinds of processes. We give you just some brief examples, but there's so many more going on all the time, many without thought. Movement requires a lot of energy. And in humans, we have a brain, and just like computers need a lot of energy, your brain needs a lot of energy. And so you want to have the right fuel to power it. So that's a look at photosynthesis and cellular respiration. You should know the equations in terms of word equations and formula equations. And you should also know that photosynthesis happens in plant cells that have chloroplasts. And cellular respiration happens in both plants and animal cells. And both types of cells will have mitochondria. You will need this for some of the worksheets and when we look at some more cell structures in future videos.